we call the D1 Baseball Weekly Weekend Preview. I am your host, Michael Patrick Rooney III. My confirmation name is William. I am joined by the great Aaron Zebediah Fitt and Kendall J. Rogers. Gentlemen, happy whatever day of the
Excuse
week
me.
it is. Yes.
That's Kendall Ezekiel Rogers.
Oh, you got Ezekiel written all over you.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'll start calling
Just
you
call
Zeke.
me. Yeah, just call me Zeke. Kind of
Oh,
like
Team
Keith
Zeke.
Moreland Zonk. I'm Zeke.
Oh gosh. Oh, by the way, Zebediah, how are you, Mr. Zebediah, over there?
Living the dream, William.
LTD. Oh gosh, it's so funny. My nephew is like 6 years old. He just did his first Holy Communion. They had him in a full-blown suit and tie. He looked amazing. It was incredibly cute, but man, he did not look happy about the operation. He prefers his soccer uniform. Boys, I'm all over the place, but I do have an announcement to make for you guys. You know what it is?
Hit me.
Did you do your homework?
No, I didn't. But my
Oh.
announcement is that the future of sports has arrived. See what I did there? And that's because of our good friends at S2 Cognition.
Ooh.
See, you smell what the rock is cooking.
Da-da.
Yeah, thank you. S2 Cognition delivers a revolutionary approach to helping athletes understand how in-game decisions impact their performance from youth to pro. And this really is the future of sports. We are very appreciative of our friends at S2 Cognition. And you all are about to witness some bad in-game decisions because Kendall and I have not even looked at the weekly picks. We're going to make them live. Fitzy's level of preparation much higher. Boys, before we do this, I listened to the Shock Factor podcast again, tweeted about it, can't recommend it enough. Now, let's just be clear. This is not a G-rated podcast. It's not X-rated, but it's not G-rated. But it's hilarious. If you need a good belly laugh, every week, Steven Shock, Jake Mintz, Jordan Schusterman, these guys crack me up big time.
Yep.
And the two highlights this week. Did you listen to this one this week yet, Fitzy, or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So they announced that they're all going to be in Omaha, which is amazing. Like, that's the first part. Super fired up for that. So Jake went on a rant. I'm going to steal the punchline, Fitzy, but it's worth listening to it anyway. Jake was commenting on how Oregon State is really good, but they're like a mystery team to him because the Pac-12 network is only available in Australia and New Zealand.
Right.
And he said, Jake had this funny joke. He's like, I picture myself seeing Oregon State in Omaha and saying, hey, nice to meet you. What do you do here? Like he literally, Oregon State could be the best team in the country. He has no feel for them at all, which was funny.
So over the weekend, Aaron was obviously out in Corvallis, and I was wanting to watch that series, and I had to go find like a European bootleg, like streamcast with 800 ads. I probably have Russian hackers, Ukrainian hackers in my computer right now, but I was able to watch the series.
Good work, Raj. Good resourcefulness.
You're want to, and that is Martha. I'm telling you, when Martha needs info, she will.
Put it this way: I wanted to watch that series so bad that I got like a warning on my Chrome browser not to click the link, but I still clicked the link and still watched it.
Martha, going where other humans are afraid to go. I love it. Oh, very good. Kendall, you're command center this weekend, correct?
I'm going to try to get to one of the Texas State Louisiana games, but it might be. We've got kids swim this weekend, so that's that and the quad box may be it again.
Oh, I like it. Fitzy,
Aaron's our designated traveler now.
Yes, he is. What do you got, Fitzy?
I got local stuff this weekend. Just probably Wake Forest, UNC, maybe some NC State Duke. Nothing too compelling, but Tar Heels Deacs actually has some ramifications right now. A couple of bubble teams.
Yeah,
for sure. That's a huge series.
I got Pitt at Notre Dame from home, from the command center in Prescott, Arizona. So just cool getting to talk to the coaches, Link Jarrett, Mike Bell, both awesome. I mean, it's the ACC is really, really fascinating. So, but like these guys played for Mike Martin Sr. and that always gets tied in there. So did you guys, I feel like this is sneaking up on us. So Miami went to regionals 44 years in a row. It's the longest streak in the history of NCAA sports, but it snapped at 44. Do you guys know what Florida State's at right now?
It's got to be 43.
43.
Yeah.
They're going to tie that. Well, I'm knocking on wood. They got a chance to tie that record this year.
Yeah.
And we know
they
Miami
will tie that record.
Yeah, that's what I think. And we know how Miami and Florida State feel about each other.
Yeah.
like that, not super friendly. So anyway, definitely some in my two games this weekend, some
Oh,
huge 11 theme.
yeah. You know what? Out of all, so I've covered a lot of rivalry series over the years, and I'll be honest with you, the year that Miami played there with Alonzo and like Jamal Weeks draft year, that was the most hostile, nastiest atmosphere I've ever seen. And granted, it's a rivalry series, so I'm not like taking a shot at FSU fans, but that atmosphere was, there was zero love lost. It was wild.
Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta absolutely love it. All right, boys. So let's play the feud. Let's look at picks. Let me just take a quick peek at the standings here. And Fitzy, are you in first place right now? Son
I
of a
am.
beach
I
ball.
am. I have taken back over the mantle by a game, though. It's tight right now. Kendall and Runes, 1 game back. You got Ebert and Granger are 3 games back, and then Etheridge, a good 7 games back. Seifert in the mix there somewhere, Swordson. So
Hashtag less place Sife, as he likes to call himself.
that's right. He's not last place, though, anymore.
No.
Etheridge is last place.
Oh, the Nerd Master General needs to get less locked in on RPIs and start picking some series here.
That's right.
It's really, you're right. It's gotten compacted. Look at that. Nobody's out of it. All right. Well, let's do this. Fitzy, since you actually made picks, you should go first. First series is Louisville at Virginia Tech. What say you, Zebediah?
Yeah, I'm going with the home team here. You know, the Hokie coaches gave me a hard time when I picked against them in Charlottesville after I had picked them to beat Miami. I was the only one to pick them to beat Miami, and they let me hear about it for jumping off the bandwagon. I just think they're a really good, complete team, as I've talked about repeatedly. Even if they are maybe a little light on the mound, I think they've got enough on the mound. It should be an offensive series. These are two teams that can really swing the bats, and we'll see. If Virginia Tech's momentum was disrupted at all by the break. They did not play last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, I guess they did. They had Villanova. They just had an ACC break. Anyway, Louisville coming in after that hard-fought 1-1-1 series at Wake Forest, good midweek win against Indiana. It seems like they've been pitching better, generally speaking, of late, but I expect a lot of runs, and I'm going to take the home team. I just think the Hokies have a lot of firepower.
Yeah, interesting. Kendall, what say you?
I'm of the same thinking. I just think when you have two teams that are very offensive, I kind of default to the home team in this one. So I like Virginia Tech, but I think it's going to be an absolute slugfest.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. Like, you start thinking about the pitching matchups. Virginia Tech's so fascinating because Sundays are an adventure for them, and it's not like Griffin Green is some just Katie bar the door Friday night person. But so it feels like Jared Polin would probably beat Griffin Green, but I don't know. Maybe Griffin Green gives him enough of a chance, and then I'm never betting against Drew Hackenberg on Saturday. But Christian Knapchick had an ankle thing, so you don't know how healthy he is. He's really important to Louisville. And long story short, Virginia Tech's at home. That's what I'm picking, Virginia Tech as well.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good series, though. Gosh, that's a good series. Fitzy, Miami at Florida State.
Florida State. Woo!
Any particular reason why?
I've just been driving the Florida State bandwagon all season long since the fall, just with their pitching and good pitching matchups here. This is the two teams that I think have the best pitching in the league, some of the best pitching in the country. Florida State hasn't really swept a lot of teams. They had the one sweep against Louisville. Other than that, it's been a lot of 2 out of 3. But they generally have won all their weekends. I think they only have two weekend series losses all year. They're at home. They're going to be up for this. I like the fact that Bryce Hubbard is coming off a really good start. Feels like he's kind of finding his stride again. Messick and Hubbard, just a great 1-2 punch. And I'm going to go with the Seminoles. This is one where I feel like runs will be at a premium, even though Dick Howser Stadium is an offensive environment. I suspect a low-scoring series here.
Interesting. Kendall, what say you?
I thought about taking Florida State, but I'm going to go with Miami. I think when you look at Palmquist against Messick, that's as good as it gets. I think Palmquist can match him. I think for me, when I look at Miami, I look at Andrew Walters on the back end. I think that's going to be a big key, a big X factor this weekend. So I'm going to go with Miami on the road.
Do you guys recall? I feel like last year Florida State just ran Miami off the field, and maybe I have it in reverse. I can't remember, but the three in 21, it was 3 blowout games that were just fairly shocking. Long story short is like I like Miami's team better, but they haven't played awesome the last 4 weeks. You know, the 2 series losses. I hate betting against Parker Messick, although that said, Joe Mancini, aka Jimmy Braddock, beat him last week. So I just like the Miami position player group better. And now Tyler Martin is back playing for Florida State again, kind of sorta. I'm going Miami. I think it's a great series though. Gosh, this is 2 really interesting clubs.
And by the way, Messick, this is interesting. As great as his numbers are all year long, he's had a really good year. Seminoles are only 7-5 in games he started, which really surprises me. So,
gosh, that's
it's not his fault. He's doing his job for sure. But they
by
did.
the way, that should be 6-6 because Cal, if they step on home plate after a home run, I mean, Josh White would have beat him earlier in the year.
Florida State, by the way, did indeed run Miami out of the building at Mark Light last year, 3 straight games.
Yep. I remember. Yeah, it was crazy. Run them out of the building. Love that expression. All right, Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. Oh my gosh, look at these series. Fitzy, what do you got? Texas Tech at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, fun one here. I actually was tempted to take the road team, but once again, I'm just being stubborn, sticking to my guns. Like Florida State, I've been on the Oklahoma State bandwagon all year, and they've earned it at this point. I mean, they're number 3 in the country for a reason. They've had a great year. Justin Campbell, of course, that's a good matchup on Friday night. But I mean, Campbell is one of the best pitchers in the country. I'm not going to bet against him, and so I think they win that first game and then find a way to win one of the next 2. I do like the move they made with Trevor Martin into the rotation.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense for their pitching staff, and I think you'll see him extended more. I think he went 4 innings last week, wasn't terribly efficient, but they're 4 shutout, and I expect he'll be built back up and have a good outing this week. So, I'm going to go with the home team again.
Kendall, what was the arm injury or the pitching injury that you mentioned for Tech recently? Like their closer or one of their key relievers?
Trenton Parrish, I believe, came out of the game against ACU with what they said was an elbow injury. I have not checked up on that, but anytime you leave the game with an elbow injury, you're probably not pitching a week later.
Gosh, he's like so emblematic of Tech. Like he's their closer with 6 saves and 20 appearances. His ERA is 8.26. But clearly their closer.
He's pitched some big games for him. I'll say this. I'm going with Oklahoma State. Here's the thing. I think Oklahoma State's got a better offense this year. And I think the biggest thing when I look at Oklahoma State is even though the Birdsell-Campbell matchup may be relatively even, after that, it's not even. I mean, I think Bryce Osmond has thrown really well in conference play in the Big 12. I think he's an advantage over Andrew Morris. And I also think when you look at the number 3 role, Aaron mentioned it, Trevor Martin – is a huge upgrade over anyone Tech's going to start. So, something's going to have to change for Texas Tech for them to win that series on the road. And I don't see Oklahoma State deviating from the way he has played for the last month of the season because they've been really, really good for about a month now.
Yep. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going Oklahoma State. Just they feel healthy. They feel I agree with what Fitzy said. I love Trevor Martin in the rotation. I think that's a net positive for them. Griffin Doersching swinging it. Oklahoma State's got so many different ways they can win a baseball game. So I'm in on the Cowboys. I anticipate seeing them in Nebraska in June. Next one is Vandy at Arkansas. Gosh, it's another awesome series. Fitzy, what do you got on Arkansas and hosting the Doors?
Now, once again, I'm going to take the home team. I think that's 4 in a row here, but home field advantage matters. And Arkansas, again, number 4 in the country, they're pretty good. Coming off a nice road series win at Auburn, and the offense, as we've talked about, has kind of had starts and stops, but it's pretty good at Auburn. The question for me is how does the pitching bounce back from not a great weekend, I would say, last week, but they were fine. They were good enough. Vandy, team that did get its bats going last week, we've been critical of their offense for underachieving, but they do come in here with a little bit of momentum. And it wouldn't shock me if Vanderbilt found a way out there in Fayetteville, but just don't know if I really have enough trust yet with Vandy. I mean, but that was a big road series win at Georgia for them. That showed us something. So definitely a compelling series.
Kendall?
I like Arkansas at home as well. I do agree. I think Vandy played much better on the road against Georgia. I think they caught Georgia at a really good time. But I think the biggest thing when I look at Arkansas is, watching that series last week against Auburn, it was a little bit more of the Arkansas team that we expected. What's kind of the theme with Arkansas typically? It's like guys getting massively clutch hits in big situations. Kendall Diggs did it for him last weekend. Robert Moore did it for him last weekend. Caden Wallace did it in the series finale. So I just think all those pieces were kind of coming together, and I already felt pretty good about their pitching staff. So I just think as a total package, they're a better team than Vanderbilt, and they're at home.
Yeah. Last week, so this is an A or B answer. Last week, Arkansas wins the series at Auburn, as you mentioned. Vandy wins the series at Georgia. I thought both of them looked like they've turned the corner when they did it.
Yeah.
So here's my question to you guys. Whose series win last weekend was more impressive to you, Arkansas at Auburn or Vandy at Georgia? What do you think, Kendall?
I go with Arkansas. I just think, Auburn is battle tested. They're hard nosed. They're tough to beat at home. I go with Arkansas.
Fitzy?
Yeah, same. I mean,
Me too.
Auburn team is pretty good, and going there and win that thing in a good atmosphere. That's impressive.
I will say this too, Runes, about Vanderbilt. I watched a couple of those games last weekend, and the thing that I did like that they did, and granted, this isn't going on a limb very much, but when I watched them against A&M a few weeks ago, it was kind of like their whole offense sat around waiting for Enrique Bradfield to do everything. I thought that Vanderbilt, top to bottom offensively, for much of the weekend against Georgia, they weren't just waiting around waiting for Enrique to do everything. Like, they were actually very aggressive in the box. And so maybe that's kind of a shift in philosophy for that offense.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys that I'm picking Arkansas because of their home team. I'm excited about both clubs. But I just want to say this to anybody watching. You've probably seen this, but go on Vandy's Twitter feed. Enrique Bradfield stole home Tuesday night against Indiana State. It's one of the most eye-popping baseball plays you'll ever see as far as a highlight goes. The Indiana State, who was a left-handed pitcher, he got kind of frozen by the runner at first. And by the time he realized what Bradfield was doing at third base, it was over. I mean, he didn't even the pitcher did not release the ball. It was incredible. So
shades of Kurt Wilson.
That's right.
I mean, it was very similar.
Yeah, very similar, except for twice as fast.
Yes.
Maybe 3 times as fast. All right, so we're all going Arkansas. Go ahead, Kendall.
I was going to say, I don't know if y'all noticed, but Pat Oswalt actually tweeted out something about Enrique Bradfield last night. That was kind of cool.
So we got Patton Oswalt has tweeted about college baseball this year, and Bill Simmons. I mean, like, we're just taking down famous people right now. Let's go to the next series because we do have a shot clock today. Fitzy, what do you think about Oregon State, the Beavs, at, I don't know, a desperate Arizona Wildcat? Desperate's the wrong word, but the Cats need to eat. Like, they need to get going.
Yeah, coming off a bad series loss to USC. That really kind of ended their hosting hopes, I think. They're down there, 40s in the RPI now. They're 14-10 in the pack. I mean, they're still in decent shape for an at-large bid, but they need a bounce back for sure. And I don't know that this is the weekend for it, because Oregon State, as I've talked about a ton last week, is the real deal. And they're an offensive club. That offense will travel to Tucson. I think they lead the Pac-12 in scoring. It's not like they play in a hitter's park up in Corvallis, so that's pretty loud to me. One thing to watch though is of course that the turf there plays so different than Corvallis, and Oregon State's the best defensive team in the country, but I mean they've got a nice friendly turf at home, and this is a fast surface in Tucson, and so. Kind of a nice test, almost a prep for Omaha to see how they adjust to that different field condition. But nonetheless, I just think they're by far the better team, and I'm going to go with them.
Kendall?
I'm going to go with Oregon State. Aaron mentioned the fielding. I think when you look at Oregon State's rotation, I was very encouraged by, what we all saw, what Aaron saw from Jacob Finnings over the weekend. And I think the other thing, too, is, the guy I really liked, because I hadn't really watched Oregon State a lot this year, I really liked Ryan Brown out of the bullpen. I like kind of the attitude that he had against Oregon. He strikes out Jacob Walsh and shoos him off the field. Like, I love a guy like that in those situations. His stuff looked pretty good in that relief stint, and I think right now he's got 8 walks or something like that in 27-28 innings. So he's done a nice job for them at the back end. So I think with Finnings healthy and throwing well to go with Cooper Jerpy, to me that's just a significant advantage for Oregon State.
And they've got a
Yeah.
lot of pieces in that bullpen too. I mean,
Yes.
Ben Ferrer's been money for them, and Reed Seby's a quality veteran. They got a lot of guys, and they got some power guys. Carpenter's is got big stuff if he can command the zone. So they can come at you. I mean, it's almost all right-handers, but they can come at you with different looks and quality breaking balls. Mitchell Verberg, of course, can spin the heck out of it.
I will say this: it's Arizona. Even though I feel pretty confident in Oregon State, like Arizona is like beyond due at this point. So that's the only thing that kind of scares me a little bit for the Beavs.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm with you, Kendall. Like I'm picking Oregon State, but Arizona, they're going to Oregon next week. Like this is kind of getting to DEFCON whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's for Arizona, they just got to get better starts. Dawson Nets has been out. I don't think he's back this weekend. And even hitting 288 in Tucson is fine, but it's not like they usually hit way over 300. I feel like Arizona. So they've got some high end wins. A sweep of Stanford. It's a talented team, but it is not going to be an easy trip in for the Wildcats for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So Wake Forest at North Carolina. Fitzy, what do you got here? Boy, that's another interesting one.
It is, yeah. And I thought both teams played well last weekend. Hard fought series tie for the Deacs. But North Carolina, I think, that little reset that they had did them some good. And they came back and, won a big road series at NC State. Offense kind of carried the way for them. I still am kind of skeptical of UNC's pitching. I mean, really would like to see them get some more length out of the starters and not have to ride the bullpen so much. But I guess that's just how they're built. I like the Tar Heels at home. I like the way they're swinging the bats right now. They scored 24 runs in 2 midweek wins against Gardner-Webb and Charleston Southern. Now they'll face better pitching this weekend against Wake Forest, but I'm expecting another higher scoring series here. Two teams that can swing the bats, and I think I just like the way UNC is trending.
What are you thinking, Kendall?
Yeah, I like the Tar Heels too. I think they kind of showed you a lot in those close games against NC State over the weekend. Those are two. I think they had 2 games that could have really gone either way, and they found a way to win them. So I think at home they've got a sense of urgency. They could sense a postseason bid. I like their chances. With that said, it's kind of interesting. We talked about it in the kind of the onset of the podcast of like how big that series is, but if Wake loses that series, even with its RPI, it starts to get really interesting for them because right now their record's under 500 in that league.
Yeah.
Oh man, like Wake Forest is the bad decision I can't quit making. I want to pick Wake. North Carolina had lost 5 straight series going into that NC State series, and that I'm going to pick Wake. I wish Eric Adler was doing better. They did fight Louisville hard, which I think is a good data point. But you guys are right. Wake Forest, like it's go time. Like all 12 of those ACC teams are not making the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Maybe 10 of them are making it. And so if you're Wake Forest, like whatever your best punch is, you better throw it this weekend because it's go time. But I do like their talent. I thought I had them earlier. I thought they were pretty scrappy. I like Wake, and I'm going to go with them. There you have it. Just keep piling on, Wake. Come on now. Come on, Deeks.
They've burned me every time I picked them, so I'm not going to get
no comment.
That's right. Kendall's just watching me walk into the burning building once again. UTSA at Southern Miss, another tricky one. Fitzy, what say you here?
Yeah, so I know Southern Miss has been in a little bit of a funk here. The injuries have definitely played a role. Kendall's going to talk about how I'm going to pick your pocket and take your point, Kendall. Their offense hasn't been as effective once they lost Ewing and Wilkes to injuries. But they still pitched well. They lost the series to Old Dominion, and it was 4-1 and 4-3 in those 2 losses, and they won the Sunday game. They pitched well in a midweek loss to Ole Miss. I mean, they can pitch, and I just think that gives them a high floor. And I think at home this weekend, I think they're good enough on the mound to win some low-scoring games against UTSA, and maybe they get those bats going a little bit. It's not like they don't have guys who can hit. I mean, even without those 2 pieces, those are important pieces. But there are plenty of threats in that lineup, veteran guys that are good players and have performed over the course of their careers. So, and I just think this is a get-right weekend for them at home.
Kendall, what are you thinking here?
I would agree. Southern Miss scored 9 runs in 3 games against an ODU team who's allowed a lot of runs this year last weekend. But I do sense that, I look at trends and I look at teams that have a lot to play for. And I think if you're Southern Miss and you kind of take a step back and look ahead to the weekend, they're in a situation to where if they lose that series this weekend, they're out as a top 16 for sure. Like their RPI has even dropped down the mid-20s now. So if you lose that series, you're in big trouble. You're probably needing to win the conference tournament without a doubt to be a host. And so I think with that sense of urgency, with their pitching, I think Southern Miss finds a way.
Wow, UTSA, I feel like you've been telling us this, Kendall. They've won 6 straight Conference USA series.
Yeah, Pat Hallmark's
And
doing a great job.
yeah, and I think you and I both watched Southern Miss against Ole Miss, and man, they look lost offensively. I'm going to go UTSA. Give me the Roadrunners. To the Roadrunners,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, give me the Roadrunners. Perfect.
Doing some running on the road this weekend.
Look at that. Look at what you did there.
Yeah.
Evansville at DBU. First place Evansville at DBU. Fitzy?
So far of the picks that are in, it looks like only former Evansville head coach David Seifert is picking the Purple Aces.
What a homer.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a ton of love lost there, but I like the Patriots. I mean, they've been disappointing in conference. They've underachieved to this point, but they're still the best team. They just have the most talent. If you look at their players, I mean, guys that were in a super regional last year, a lot of them are back, having solid enough years. I mean, I just think they take this thing at home.
Kendall?
I would agree. Obviously, keep an eye on Shane Gray and Tanner Craig and those guys. The Purple Aces. Wes Carroll's done a phenomenal job this year. But I like Dallas Baptist at home. I think in the midweek game against Oklahoma State, they got that big walk off from Blaine Jones. They're going to go into the weekend with some momentum. They kind of like Southern Miss a little bit. They know what's at stake. If they win this series this weekend, they can kind of claw back and get within a game, go on a run, win the final series of the regular season, go on the run the conference tournament. They can end up being a host. So I think there'll be a sense of urgency for Hughes Club.
Yep, I'm with you. DBU, Evansville's a cool story. DBU, 6 straight wins. They're playing great, very talented. Give me the Pats. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns at Texas State. This is a tough one. Fitzy, what say you here?
Yeah, I do think this is a really compelling matchup here. I mean, Texas State, have they lost a weekend all year? I don't know that they have. They've been really consistent.
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern. Yep, you're right. That's it. But the Cajuns are coming in with momentum now. They won 5 in a row and like 10 out of their last 11, I think. Took care of business against lowly Rice in a couple of midweek games. Probably hurt their RPI in the process. But yeah, they're just it's a club that I think is playing well at the right time. We like their talent heading into the year. I like some of their arms. King and kind of Moffitt kind of bookending that pitching staff, some talented guys. And, I just, I don't know. I think, I'm sorry, Italian Bonds. I was looking at the wrong box score, but we just did power rankings, and I think both those guys are in the mix. It's a good club. It's a good club. And, I think this is their weekend on the road to make some noise and kind of solidify themselves as an at-large team.
Kendall?
Texas State is one of those teams with 8 seniors in their everyday lineup. I just think at home in a big series like this, I like the Bobcats' chances.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Bobcats. You guys, I've talked about them. 6 fifth-year seniors, the 2 Tristans, Stivers and Dixon in the bullpen. And, it's funny, Louisiana's won 10 out of 11, but not against the best teams in the league. So compelling, but give me the Bobcats at home. West Virginia at Oklahoma to Rappas, boys. Fitzy, what are you thinking here?
I'm going with the Sooners. I don't like the way West Virginia is trending. I mean, it feels like they're just kind of hanging on for dear life right now. They had a big opportunity this past weekend, lost 2 out of 3 at home to Texas. And, it seems like when they've played the better teams in the league, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, they've lost those series. They did beat TCU on the road way back in early April, but Oklahoma's playing well right now. And coming off a big series win on the road at TCU. They've won, I think, 3 straight series. So I feel like Kendall's talked about them as almost a dark horse heading into the postseason. And I'm with you on that. I mean,
yeah,
like their pitching talent, especially.
Go ahead, KR.
Yeah, real quick on their pitching depth, you're just thinking of scenarios where Oklahoma could go. When you look at their pitching depth, imagine if they went somewhere like A&M where they only have a couple of weekend starters. They could match up well with a team like A&M. But I take Oklahoma. I think when you look at the Sooners overall, They've done a nice job on the mound for the most part. They're hot right now, and I keep an eye on Blake Robertson. We talk so much about Jimmy Crooks and Peyton Graham, but Blake Robertson is like the Sonny Deshar of the Big 12. Doesn't quite have his power numbers, but here's a guy who has 55 walks, 31 strikeouts, and a 5.27 OBP, and he's hitting well over 350. So Blake Robertson's had a terrific year, and I want to say that somebody told me he's hitting like 320 with runners in scoring position, something like that. So he's had a great year. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and Oklahoma, that was loud last weekend. They lose the
Yeah.
Friday game against TCU with Bennett pitching, who's their best matchup, and then win the series. But of course, even though that makes sense, and Oklahoma's a team that I think has improved as much as anybody from February to now. So it makes perfect sense to pick Oklahoma. So I'm going to pick West Virginia, of course, to be contrarian. I love West Virginia. They're scrappy. They run. I am worried about pitching depth. I do like their freshmen. I think this team's a little edgy. You guys are right. They have not been trending great. They've not been getting swept, but they've not been trending great. But give me West Virginia just for fun. I'll take the Mountaineers, and we will go from there.
Well, like Jacob Waters, I didn't see his updated numbers, but yeah, his ERA is now over 5, like well over 5.
He's
that's
not
optimal.
Starter.
That's not optimal for a Friday night starter.
No. I think he's got reliever profile written all over him. I think he's got big league reliever profile.
Agreed. I mean, it's a legit heater and hammer, but yeah, it's better suited for the back end.
Yes, very good. Gentlemen, well done. Enjoy the rest of your week. Everyone have a great weekend. We will catch you early next week for the weekly pod. And that's it. 2 weekends left to play and then conference tournaments. Let's go. Have a good one, everybody.